The Trojan War, a conflict of gods and mortals, love and hate, honor and pride. At its heart, two heroes stand on opposite sides of a bloody battlefield: Hector, Prince of Troy, and Achilles, the greatest warrior of the Greeks. But this isn't just a story of war. It's a tragedy that begins with a fatal mistake. In the chaos of battle, Hector kills a man he believes to be Achilles, only to discover he has slain Patroclus, Achilles' beloved companion. This single act ignites a fire of vengeance in Achilles that will consume everything in its path. The pride of these heroes, their hubris, sets the stage for a conflict that will echo through eternity. But how did it all begin? Let's rewind. The Greek kings, led by the ambitious Agamemnon, have amassed their forces on the shores of Troy. Agamemnon, standing before his army, challenges the Trojans to a duel of champions to settle the war. This is his grand design to conquer the city, but there's a problem. His greatest weapon, Achilles, wants no part of it. Achilles despises Agamemnon's authority and refuses to fight for a king he doesn't respect. This clash of egos between the two most powerful Greeks sows the seeds of disaster long before the first spear is thrown. Of course, you can't talk about the Trojan War without talking about the gods. They're not just watching from Mount Olympus. They're pulling the strings. It all started with a golden apple and a choice given to the Trojan prince, Paris. He chose Aphrodite, the goddess of love, who promised him the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen, Queen of Sparta. When Paris abducts Helen and takes her to Troy, he sparks an international incident. The gods' own jealousies and ambitions are mirrored in the mortals below, twisting the fates of warriors and kings alike. And what about Helen and Paris? Their romance is the catalyst for this epic war. For them, there might be love, but for their people, it's a catastrophe. Helen wasn't just any woman. She was married to Menelaus, the king of Sparta. Her abduction is an insult that the Greeks cannot ignore. Helen's own story is complicated. Was she a willing participant or a tragic victim? Her divine heritage and the political fallout from her choice pit personal desire against the duty she owes to her people, and the consequences are devastating. This war isn't just fought by heroes, it's commanded by kings. On one side, you have Agamemnon, the power-hungry leader of the Greeks, and his brother Menelaus, the wronged husband seeking revenge. On the other, there's King Priam of Troy, a noble father watching his kingdom prepare for a siege. Troy's strategic location and immense wealth are the real prizes Agamemnon is after. He uses the abduction of Helen as the perfect excuse to launch a war he's always wanted to fight, uniting the Greek kingdoms under his command for a single bloody purpose: to see Troy burn. So why does Achilles even bother? The answer is one word: kleos. It's the Greek concept of immortal glory, of being remembered forever. Achilles knows he has a choice: a long, quiet life forgotten by history, or a short, violent one that will make his name eternal. For a warrior in ancient Greece, kleos was everything. It was the only way to cheat death. This burning desire for fame is what drives Achilles, pushing him toward the battlefield despite his hatred for Agamemnon. He's not just fighting for Greece. He's fighting for his own immortality. These choices, both human and divine, are what shape this entire conflict. King Priam places his faith in the gods, a sacred duty in Greek culture known as eusebia. He believes their piety will protect Troy. Meanwhile, his son Hector is torn. He has a duty to his family, his wife and his child, but he also has a duty to defend his city. This internal conflict shows the true human cost of the war, as personal loyalties clash with the brutal demands of battle. Every decision made by these characters, big or small, weaves them tighter into the web of fate. As the Greek ships fill the horizon, the tension is unbearable. The war is no longer a threat. It's a reality. The Trojans, behind their impenetrable walls, prepare for the fight of their lives. Paris's actions have doomed them all, and the stage is set for a monumental clash of civilizations. Heroes and kings are now poised on the brink, caught between their honor, their ambition, and the destructive tide of war. Now let's talk about Achilles and Patroclus. Their bond is the emotional core of this story. It's far deeper than mere friendship. In ancient Greece, intense male relationships, often with romantic and mentorship elements, were common and even celebrated. Their love is tied to honor. Achilles fights for Patroclus, and Patroclus fights for Achilles' honor. It's a powerful connection that modern audiences might interpret differently, but in their world, it was a profound bond that made them stronger. This brings us to the fundamental difference between the two greatest heroes. Hector fights for Troy. He rallies his men with speeches about honor, duty, and protecting their homeland. His motivation is arete, or virtue. Achilles, on the other hand, fights for Kleos, for personal glory. He is a force of nature, a one-man army who carves a path of destruction through the Trojan ranks, not for his king, but for his own name. He is there to be remembered. The real breaking point for the Greeks comes not from a Trojan spear, but from within their own camp. In a display of arrogance, Agamemnon dishonors Achilles by taking away his prize of war, the woman Briseis. For Achilles, this is an unforgivable insult. His pride wounded, he withdraws from the war, taking his elite soldiers with him. In this culture, restoring honor was an obligation, and Achilles would rather see the Greeks lose than fight for a king who disrespected him. The war stalls and a duel is proposed. Menelaus versus Paris. The wronged husband against the homewrecker. But when the fight begins, Paris, completely outmatched, shows his cowardice and flees. Hector is disgusted. He's caught between his loyalty to his weak-willed brother and his duty to his people. Despite the chaos, Hector maintains his honor, even ensuring the bodies of his enemies are treated with respect, a stark contrast to the brutality unfolding around him. Then, the moment that changes everything. Patroclus, worried about the failing Greek army, wears Achilles' armor and leads his men into battle. He is a hero, but he is not Achilles. Hector, thinking he is facing his ultimate rival, kills him. When Achilles learns of Patroclus' death, his grief is cataclysmic. It transforms into a terrifying rage. His personal war is no longer about glory. It's about pure, unadulterated vengeance. The battle that follows is not a contest of armies, but the outpouring of one man's broken heart. After Achilles kills Hector in a rage-fueled duel, his grief doesn't subside. He desecrates Hector's body, dragging it behind his chariot for days. It's a horrifying spectacle. But then something incredible happens. Under the cover of night, King Priam, Hector's father, risks everything to sneak into the Greek camp. He doesn't come as a king, but as a father, begging for his son's body. He kisses the hands of the man who killed his son. In that moment, Achilles sees not an enemy, but a grieving father, just like his own. For the first time, Achilles feels empathy. He sees Priam's suffering and recognizes his own pain in it. His cold, hard shell of pride finally cracks. He agrees to return Hector's body, and in an act of profound compassion, he halts the entire war for 12 days to allow Troy to hold a proper funeral for their fallen hero. The relentless warrior finally rediscovers his humanity, not in victory, but in a shared moment of loss and respect. But the war isn't over. With Achilles' rage cooled, the cunning Odysseus devises one final desperate plan: the Trojan Horse. The Greeks pretend to sail away, leaving behind a giant wooden horse as a supposed offering to the gods. The Trojans, believing they've won, pull the gift into their city and celebrate. That night, as Troy sleeps, Greek soldiers hidden inside the horse creep out, open the city gates, and unleash hell. The sacking of Troy is brutal. The city burns, its people are slaughtered, and King Priam is killed. Amidst the chaos, Achilles searches desperately for Briseis. He finds her, but his moment of reunion is cut short. Paris, the coward who started it all, shoots an arrow guided by the gods, and it strikes Achilles in his one vulnerable spot, his heel. As he lies dying, he finds not glory, but a quiet peace in his love for Briseis. His journey is complete. He came for eternal fame, but in the end, he learned that true greatness lies not in how you fight, but in how you love and connect with others. His legacy is not just that of a warrior, but of a man who learned the true meaning of being human. Thanks for watching.